Welcome back to Squeaky Clean Money. I am Annie P. Ruggles, aka Anniepreneur. And today, to clean up our nastiest, foulest money thoughts, I have one of my very favorite brains of all time. I'm talking about Gwen Bortner. Gwen Bortner is a business advisor who provides outside perspective and unwavering accountability. Can vouch, have received. She is also the one to ask the hard questions that others won't answer. After 4 decades of working across over 47 industries, Gwen has learned that marketing and sales has built-in feedback loops, and you know quickly if they're working. Amen. But the behind-the-scenes engine that runs your business, that's where the blind spots live. That's where successful businesses secretly start breaking down, even when everything looks fine from the outside. Gwen works with women who appear successful but are privately wondering how long they can maintain their current pace before something breaks. I've been there. Her clients are doing all the right things, yet find themselves overwhelmed and secretly questioning if this is what success is supposed to look like. Through her personalized approach, Gwen helps entrepreneurs identify those bottlenecks that others miss and build businesses that perform well without consuming their lives. What an amazing bio.
Thanks.
I feel like I went on an emotional roller coaster of truth just reading it. I'm like, yes, that's me. I'm like, Annie, focus. You're on a live mic. Pay attention.
And it's true. We have a lot of folks that's their lives. So
Yep.
here to help.
I know you are. And one of the things I like to do on this show is say that, money's not really challenging for everyone at all times. And for some people, I don't know, it might not be ever challenging at all. But for those of us on planet Earth who may not have inherited extreme generational wealth, what is something that you yourself have had? What's a dirty, nasty thought around money that you've caught yourself having in the past or recently or whenever?
Yeah. So the way I was raised, we were absolutely middle class. We never needed for anything. I mean, like I was not raised in that situation.
Yeah.
But my dad actually was raised in abject poverty. And my mom was raised at the other extreme. She was, in a very comfortable place, but was taught to not, show it in any way, shape, or form. And so the thing that I have struggled with, and I still struggle with from time to time, is that I shouldn't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because that's bad. I'm not quite sure why. Like there's no reason that it's even in this weird thought. It's like it's not like there's a reason that it's bad, but somehow lots of money.
It just corrupts your character and other nebulous things like that. Like if there was some graph.
Yeah.
This is a money show, y'all. So imagine a graph. If there was a graph where like character goes across the bottom and money goes up the top, you would just watch that line according to public perception only of people like us, by the way. We would watch that like public perception line just crash and be like, wait.
Right. And there's so many facts that show that's not true. And I mean, there's so many people I know that have lots of money and are really great people and, all of those things. But even today, decades and decades and decades and decades, lots of decades later, still the thing that I will catch myself struggling with and having. It's one of those stupid things. Money is a weird thing.
Money is a weird thing, but there have been studies after studies after studies after studies that show that if you're in a marginalized or historically repressed group, or if you're a woman, you tend to put in quite a lot of money from your earnings back into the local economy, not even just the economy, but your local economy. And we see that all the time here in Chicago in immigrant communities and so many other areas where the local businesses thrive when national chains fail because businesses invest in their neighbors and people invest in their neighbors. And so I totally understand that completely. But today You have come to sweep up, to bleach out some horrible misconception that is gumming up the works about money. Gwen, what's this filthy lie?
This filthy lie is that top line income number is a good metric.
Mm-hmm. It's not?
It is part of a good metric, but it is not a good metric in and of itself. And that's the thing that really to me is the big lie. Whenever we see, posts on social media or anything else, 99.9% of the time, we're only hearing about that top line metric. I did $1 million in sales. I did $10 million in sales. I did $500,000. It doesn't matter. It's that top line. How much did I do in sales? And that is a useful number, and we should pay attention to it, but not in isolation. And that's where the problem is that we're taking that number and putting way more weight on it than we are other parts of the numbers that need to go with it.
And we're comparing ourselves to other people's incorrect or inflated data too, right? To your point about these social media posts, I made $45,000 in 4 hours. Cool. How much did you spend in ads? Because it might have been $48,000. You might have wound up 3,000 in the hole.
And that's lovely. But how much did you make next week?
Yes. Why is it sustainable? Is it going to still be a business in a week? Am I relying on a trend? And I think that is so critically important. But also, I feel like people can use that top line as an excuse not to look at their spending. I know
there's 1,000 problems with only looking at that. At that top line number.
I know that there have been multiple times in my business where I have severely over reinvested in my own business because I was thinking, oh, I had an $8,000 month, or oh, I just took on an extra client. I can totally easily cover this. And then I don't remember that it's a recurring annual charge, or that their rates might go up, or that I might not be working on that project in a year, or it might not work, right? Any of these things being true. And so I definitely have allowed the number to kind of send me spiraling if it's somebody else's number, and make me feel extra cozy safe if it's my own. And in both ways, it's incorrect data.
Well, probably part of the problem of why I think it happens is it's the easiest number to see, to pay attention to gather. Most of us can grab that number really, really fast. Out of all the numbers in our business, it's the easiest number to find. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's the one that can either make us feel the best or the worst, depending on how we're using it, right? But it's easy access is also part of the problem, because it's like, well, this is a good number. It's a valid number. And part of what we know is most of the time, that number in and of itself is actually very accurate.
Right.
Most of our things are going through credit cards. We're getting it through our point of sale system. If we're using a point of sale system, it's an easy number and a fast number to find. And so we put a lot of weight on it because it's the one that we have quick access to.
Yeah.
But in and of itself, all the things you're talking about are the reason it's also a problem.
Yeah. Oh my, I mean, the dopamine, right? Once it goes up, you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And all the charts are defaulted to, you have to actually go in Stripe and be like, hey, can I know my year over year? Hey, can I have this adjusted in some way? Hey, can I have data that isn't just blowing smoke up my butt? So what? I mean, I love it, especially after a long decline, to feel those cha-chings. I am not anti-cha-ching. I love the cha-ching. However, we want to make sure that those cha-chings are based on metrics that are actually math that can propel us forward and keep us real-time safe, not fake time safe. So Gwen, how do we spring clean this mess?
So the first thing is, you don't have to look at every single solidarity detail line all the time.
Say that again, Gwen.
You do need to look at them occasionally. And in my world, occasionally is at least once a quarter. And I really, really think it should be once a month. But there are big lines that you should be looking at. And most every report is going to summarize those lines for you. So you don't have to do the math,
Yeah.
If you've got any sort of accounting system, it's going to.
You don't have to do next level calculus. Just
you do not
know how to read a chart.
Yeah. All you have to do is read a few numbers. But the real numbers that we want to look at is first that income number. That's that's going to be one of the first numbers right at the top. There's often a number right below that is either a cost of goods or a cost of sales. So it gets different terms. And if you have a product-based business, this is a really, really important number. And a lot of folks overlook it. I work with a lot of product-based businesses.
Yep.
And I've had clients who say, oh, my sales dropped $10,000 this month. But what I look at is their cost of sales dropped $20,000. So the number below that is what we call our gross income. Okay. So it's net income. That's that top number minus the cost of sales is your gross income. What is your gross income doing? So that's the first thing to look at. So someone who's had their cost of sales actually drop a lot, even though their income dropped a little bit, often is way, way further ahead, way further ahead. And this is back to, oh, my income dropped, my life is horrible. It's like, no, your actual income, the actual money you have to run your business is actually more. So that's the first piece.
Take a breath. Look at this a different way.
Look at it a different way. And it takes time. Clients that I've worked with for months and months and months, it's usually about the third or fourth month of saying, you're looking at the wrong number before they get it, right? The next big chunk of numbers is going to be your expenses number. That's the next one you need to look at. And
I don't want to look at my expenses.
Because back to what you were saying, Annie, if your expenses are way outrunning your income, I've had people say, I want to hit $1 million in sales. It's like, I can get you to $1 million sales and no problem. Do you have $2 million to spend? Right? That's not actually profitable. That's not actually a way to run a business. Right. So it's not just about that sales number. How much are we having to spend to make that number happen? Right? What I really care about is that bottom number that is called profit. Right? But those are really the four numbers I focus on as big summary numbers that are pretty easy to see. Math, net income, top number, minus any cost of goods or cost of sales creates your net income number, right? And you take expenses away from that, and that gives you profit.
Yep.
Profit really is a better number to be looking at. If you were only looking at one number, I don't recommend only looking at one number. That's never actually useful.
But if
I would be looking at the profit number. Then the other thing I like to look at is what is that profit number in relation to that top line number?
Yeah.
Right?
Now, how are we getting from one to the other? What is either growing or shrinking? And exactly. I mean, you work with a bunch of textile artists. I'd be like, yarn? I got to stop buying yarn. Maybe you too just need to stop buying yarn.
And so that's really where those numbers make a difference and where we get to a really good number. And like I said, I want you to look at the detail. There's important information in the detail. But if you're just looking at those 4 or 5 numbers on a regular basis and comparing how they're moving together or not, because you can increase your sales by a huge amount, but if you're increasing your expenses even faster, that profit number is going to get smaller and smaller or go negative. And that's where we really, really have an issue. More income does not necessarily mean more money is in your pocket.
That. I had to learn that the hard way. Y'all got to learn that in a matter of minutes from this beautiful goddess, Gwen Bortner. Gwen, if you were going to offer our viewers, our listeners, a kind of squeaky clean mantra or a new belief that they can adopt about money, what would you encourage them with?
Income is important, but profit is what's in your pocket.
You heard it right there. If you need this genius to come in and spring clean your business, Gwen, how do they find you?
They can find me at everydayeffectiveness.com.
everydayeffectiveness.com. You heard it right. This has been Squeaky Clean Money. I'm Annie Preneur, and that's been Gwen Bortner.